Welcome to Unmasking the BTK Killer inside the mind of Dennis Rader. Brace yourself for an in-depth exploration into the twisted psyche of one of America's most notorious serial killers. Join us as we delve deep into the dark labyrinth of Dennis Rader's mind, shedding light on the motivations, methods, and haunting legacy of the BTK Killer. Dennis Rader was born in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and grew up in Wichita. He lived a seemingly normal life, working as a compliance officer for a local municipality and serving as a Boy Scout leader and church president. Rader was married with children and appeared to be an average, law-abiding citizen. Crimes. Between 1974 and 1991, Rader carried out a series of murders, targeting primarily women. He became known as the BTK Killer due to his method of binding, torturing, and killing his victims. Rader's crimes involved stalking his victims, breaking into their homes, and subjecting them to horrific acts of violence. He often taunted the police and media with letters and messages detailing his crimes. Capture and confession. After years of evading capture, Rader's crimes remained unsolved until 2004 when he resurfaced, sending letters and packages to the media and police. This led to his arrest in February 2005. Rader confessed to his crimes, providing gruesome details of his murders, and pleaded guilty to 10 counts of first-degree murder. Legal proceedings and sentence. In August 2005, Dennis Rader was sentenced to 10 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He avoided the death penalty by providing detailed information about his crimes, cooperating with the investigation, and sparing the families of his victims from prolonged court proceedings. Psychological profile. Dennis Rader exhibited traits of psychopathy, displaying a lack of empathy and remorse for his actions. He derived pleasure and a sense of power from his acts of violence, often documenting his crimes through photographs and detailed descriptions. Rader was known for his meticulous planning and calculated approach to his murders, indicating a high level of premeditation and control. Impact and legacy. The case of Dennis Rader and the BTK Killer shocked the Wichita community and garnered significant media attention. It highlighted the importance of forensic evidence, DNA analysis, and advancements in criminal profiling in solving long, unsolved cases. Rader's crimes and the pain he inflicted on his victims and their families continue to be remembered as a tragic chapter in the history of serial killers in America. It is important to approach the topic of serial killers with sensitivity and respect for the victims and their families. Their stories and experiences should be central to any discussion about such cases. Here are a couple of theories surrounding Dennis Rader. Power and control theory. One theory suggests that Dennis Rader's motivation for his heinous crimes stemmed from a deep-seated desire for power and control. Rader's ability to dominate and manipulate his victims through binding, torturing, and killing them provided him with a sense of dominance and authority. It is believed that he derived a sadistic pleasure from exerting complete control over others' lives, experiencing a perverse satisfaction in their fear and suffering. Fantasy and escapism theory. Another theory explores the notion that Dennis Rader engaged in his crimes as a means of fulfilling dark fantasies and escaping from the constraints of his everyday life. Rader's meticulously planned murders and his extensive documentation of his crimes indicate that he may have created a twisted alternate reality in which he could live out his darkest desires. Through his acts, he may have sought to create a world where he had complete control and could indulge in his violent fantasies without consequences. These theories aim to provide possible insights into the motivations and psychological factors that may have influenced Dennis Rader's actions. However, it is important to note that the study of serial killers is complex, and definitive explanations may be elusive. The true motivations and underlying psychological complexities of individuals like Dennis Rader can be challenging to fully comprehend. Speculating on what would have happened if Dennis Rader hadn't existed involves contemplating a hypothetical scenario that can never be definitively known. However, we can explore some potential outcomes. Victim lives saved. If Dennis Rader hadn't existed or had been apprehended earlier, the lives of his victims would have been spared. The individuals he brutally attacked and killed would have had the opportunity to live their lives without experiencing the trauma and suffering inflicted upon them. Relief from fear and trauma. Rader's crimes caused immense fear and trauma within the Wichita community. If he hadn't existed, or if he had been caught earlier, the community could have been spared the terror and anxiety that gripped them during his active years. Residents could have felt a greater sense of safety and security. Prevention of additional crimes. By apprehending Rader, law enforcement prevented him from continuing his violent spree. If he hadn't existed or had been stopped sooner, the potential for additional victims would have been eliminated, potentially sparing others from becoming targets of his sadistic acts. Different cultural impact. The case of Dennis Rader, with its media coverage and notoriety, contributed to the public's fascination with serial killers and true crime. If he hadn't existed, the absence of his crimes may have influenced the cultural landscape differently, potentially altering public interest in such cases and the subsequent development of true crime genres. It is important to remember that any speculation about alternative outcomes is purely hypothetical. Dennis Rader's crimes caused immeasurable pain and suffering, and our focus should remain on the victims and their families. Understanding the potential implications of his absence helps highlight the ripple effects of his actions. But it is impossible to fully grasp the intricacies of what might have transpired in a world without his crimes. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey into the dark realm of serial killers. We hope this video has provided you with valuable insights and a deeper understanding of these complex and haunting figures. If you found this content thought-provoking and informative, we would greatly appreciate your likes, comments, and shares.